Welcome back to East Coast DNA. If you don't know my guest today, then you don't follow my show. So, welcome. I assume you're just new. Kylie Fox, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Darcy. Nice to be back on DNA.
So, we had you on way back when you were independently promoting an album. Then we had you on more recently when we were both over in Cavendish for the Cavendish Beach Music Festival. And we were able to catch up again ourselves off camera at Giant Stock.
Yeah, that was a
And
ball.
I was able to capture some of that performance that I'm sure, based on the view count, I'm sure a lot of people watching this have seen the photos from that weekend as well. So thank you for providing lots of content for me.
Oh, thank you for making the content. We live in a content currency world.
Oh, no, it's amazing.
It's the thing that I don't know,
So
gets the music out there, I guess.
I guess the last time that we talked on camera, we were talking about the fact that your album was kind of having a relaunch and you had a whole marketing thing around Sequoia, but it just came out.
It just came out. That was Confetti. I put Confetti out the first time last April, and then I
Hmm.
put it out again in July, sort of, you know, hyping up towards the album. Back in April, I didn't have management. Um, I had my own plan, but once I got a team, they sort of helped me map out some new dates, and
Hmm.
so we relaunched Confetti, new single art, new timeline, and it was just in time for the record to come out, which came out on Friday the 13th. So far it's been very good luck. Nothing spooky has happened.
I am curious, just on that note, like not to completely cut you off there, but the Friday the 13th date, did you select that?
I did.
Because a number of artists, I'm not going to list them all off because we're here talking about yours, but a number of artists that I follow had releases on Friday.
Well, I think that there's something about September.
Hmm.
um my album sounds autumnal. We made it in the autumn. We made it over Thanksgiving weekend, and I feel like it's like a perfect for fall. But
Hmm.
another thing about September is that it's like a new beginning. In some ways, it's kind of like the start of a new year. It's the beginning of the calendar for any school, anyone moving into university. Maybe they're listening to records as they're like putting their dorm together or
Hmm.
driving to work. So I think because it seems like such a fresh part of the year, it's a great time to put out albums, and you kind of it's right before the Christmas window where you
Yeah.
should avoid putting out anything that's non-Christmas related. Um, so I think that anyone who put out a record on September 13th, shout out to Tara, shout out to Joel. I think we're all just smarter than everybody else.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, especially with the two names that you mentioned. I mean, that's a pretty stacked list right there, between the three of you. So
Yeah,
can't
we had a
argue with
conference
it.
call about it.
Yeah, it was the great minds think alike call.
Hmm.
So how has the launch been so far? I know you were at the Harvest Music Festival as well, so you had a lot of people to talk to about it, I'm sure.
That is what made it so exciting. Um, Harvest in Fredericton is like homecoming, and
Hmm.
the streets are filled with everyone you've ever met for 3 days. So when I was walking around, I got to hear a lot of people's take on the album. People were approaching me, telling me how much it was like a very exciting way to feel like I had a community surrounding the album, listening to it. Um, that I may not have otherwise if it wasn't Harvest Week. I also paired it with a huge release show. It was a Joni Mitchell's Court and Spark 50th anniversary tribute show that we also did our album release show in the Wilmot Church in Fredericton. So we were also gearing for that, which made me feel a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the amount of preparation and things on my mind gearing up to
Oh,
this.
I
I
could only imagine.
In the week after, I'm feeling elated. I'm feeling zen. I'm feeling I'm getting some reviews coming in. I'm really happy with people's how they're receiving the songs. I'm really proud of the work. I feel really excited. I think that the year ahead is going to be really cool because of this project.
I will say a little behind the scenes when I was traveling back and forth from Somo. So I was in a different province, wasn't able to see it harvest, but we did listen to the album in the van going back and forth. So you had a few people listening to it.
Yeah,
You're in our
thanks
minds anyway.
Darcy. That's awesome.
So now that Harvest is over and the album's out, what is the future like for I'm sure you have a huge strategy plan for the fall and winter because you just released an album.
Yeah, I'll be touring a lot. Actually, I'll be touring solo for a lot of the fall.
Okay.
I'm heading on tour on the 25th of September. It's called the Gold Dust Women Tour. It's three singer-songwriters. We're doing Woodstock, Owen Sound, Waterloo, Ottawa, Oakville, Toronto, Stratford, Hamilton, Norfolk, like all in a row.
Wow.
I also paired it with my one of my best friend's 30th birthday parties in Ottawa. So it's going to be a really nice tour.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then once I get home from that tour, I've got a lot of East Coast dates up until Christmas time. Over Christmas, I star as Dolly Parton in the Kenny and Dolly Once Upon a Christmas tribute show. So I'm tributing another album to end the new year. But that's a ball. We did it last year. We sold it out twice in a day, um, and then the winter is a little loose. That's kind of what we're anticipating. We're kind of hoping that, we're planting a lot of good seeds now that
Mhm.
the winter and spring for next year can, I don't know, bloom something special.
How is it? I'm curious because I have followed you for a little while now. I'm seeing like when we had our first interview, you were actually talking to me about needing a little help because you were doing everything and you need a little help like to offload some of the work so that you could focus on some of the other things you were trying to work on. Now I'm seeing you doing all these big things. I know you have people that are helping you behind the scenes, but you're not just focused on like Kylie Fox and the band that would be advertised with the album. You've got the solo thing that you're talking about here now, and then you have these other events that you're doing where you're doing tributes, which I can tell you're really passionate about that. But I'm curious, like, how do you find balancing those two things? Because that's a lot of effort. Like individually, one of those things would be enough to keep most people occupied. But you're almost leading the life of two different musicians at the exact same time.
It's funny you say that. Yes, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And my manager wasn't necessarily his idea for me to be tributing. He'd
Hmm.
rather me just be Kylie Fox, because that's his job, is to think 2 years ahead, 4 years ahead for my career and for getting me on stages. Like he has me opening for Matt Minglewood in October. Um, he's really proud that I'm so versatile and that I'm so passionate and then I can be a character. And I do have a theater background, so I am really passionate about um, that type of theater. When you're tributing, it's very, very different. Um, how do I balance it? I I need to write a strict schedule every day. I Otherwise I go in a frenzy and I freeze and I end up watching RuPaul's Drag Race. It's like the amount of organization and time management is a lot. But I think that's just like the nature of this is like I've been doing this for so long and it's always been a hustle. And I think it might always be a hustle unless I make a hit song that will just like generate revenue forever and ever and ever, which is like the luckiest. I mean, that's what everybody wants. I don't know if that's what everyone wants. I can't speak for everyone, but it would sure be nice to just you know, um, have a song that can really change your life. That would be, yeah, I think maybe we are all chasing that at some capacity. But until then, I will tribute Dolly Parton and I will be Joni Mitchell and I will go on solo tours and I will go on band tours and I will write songs and I will also work for a theater company and I'm writing a musical right now. I also teach voice lessons. Um, it's a hustle. You know
It,
this. You're a
oh
hustler.
yeah.
You're
Well,
everywhere.
that's kind of why, and I'm bad for this in these episodes too, where I start relating it to myself in the middle of the conversation. But I'm going to do it again because if people are watching all of them, obviously they're used to me doing it. Yes, I can relate in some ways because I'm doing a little bit of everything. But I know, and I can freely admit this, sometimes the quantity of activities impacts the quality individually of them. So I am curious also from a personal point of view, like that is something I do like to ask artists like yourselves, like how do you balance that out? Because you do have to make sure, especially in your case, where your performance is going to impact whether or not you get another gig on another stage at another festival, get offered another opportunity to do one of the tributes that you like doing. So you do have to worry about keeping that quality at a certain level.
Mhm.
So it's difficult, I'm sure. The time management thing, I know that everybody handles it a little differently. I'm curious for yourself. There's a little bit of an age difference between us. So generationally, I'm aware that people handle that differently too. I myself, despite being a tech guy, I have little pieces of paper all over the place with lists. They're
Oh yeah.
I just do little brain dumps onto paper and I go back to that spot later and I'm like, oh yeah, I had to do these things. Like there's just too many things to keep track of just in my brain independently.
Yeah. I mean, lately I've been using Excel sheets. I try
Yeah.
different routines all the time. I love trying new routines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get bored of it after a week or two and I'll have to scrap it and start a new one. But right now I'm onto these Excel sheets. I also have a lot of help because my partner, fiance, drummer, Ryan Berry, lives in a house with me and watches me
Yeah.
struggle sometimes. I struggle with all the things that I have to do. Um and he I find it's a lot easier if I can say everything out loud and he'll write it out in a list. He'll help me prioritize. He'll plunk it into an Excel sheet with times.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can stick to the schedule instead of, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. They all seem equally important. I'm overwhelmed. Like that's that's a real thing. Um, but you asked about the quality of the performance, and that's always the priority.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that my social media won't be as active,
Yeah.
or you go on my website and you'll see that it's outdated,
Mm-hmm.
or you'll or I'm not writing songs.
Yeah.
The performance is always priority. I always spend at least an hour to 2 hours a day rehearsing. That Joni Mitchell show was a beast, and we were so ready that I can't remember thinking once during the whole show. I just had it. And that is the power of practice is something that I learned. It's something that you really have to learn. I
Yeah.
don't think people know it all the time. Like, especially for singers, singing can seem to be something that comes really easy because it's just there. It doesn't take a certain formation of your fingers. It doesn't take knowing in your legs and in your arms where each drum is. It's there. It's
Mm-hmm.
intuitive, but it takes so much practice to know the words and to know the story and the intention behind each word.
Yeah.
And especially when you
Discipline.
pair it with playing guitar and playing piano at the same time, and leading a band and performing it to an audience, so you are, you're welcoming into the story. It's a lot, and you need to have the practice is everything. We did the Kenny and Dolly show last year, and I had a 3-week trip to Thailand, and I didn't get back till 4 days before the show. And because I was so nervous that I was gonna just blow the whole show, I knew we had 2 sold out shows in one day. And what if I came off the plane and I had COVID? What if, I just didn't practice enough because I was, on the beach in Thailand. So it made me practice so hard in random Airbnbs or on the
Mm-hmm.
beach into the waves that when I got back, I was actually maybe even the stronger singer than I would have been if I had just been home twiddling my thumbs, kind of getting bored of practicing every day. But I felt like my voice was just like a machine after that.
Amazing.
And yeah, the rehearsal process, you have to love the process in order for this all to work, because you're going to spend way more time rehearsing than you are performing.
Yeah. It's, I guess the repetition builds some muscle memory, but it's like your stamina and everything comes along with it too. So like
Mhm.
it's really important, the repetition of practice. You don't just need to practice to make sure that you can hit the chord right or hit the right note. You got to do it over and over and over again because you'll just iteratively improve on it. So you just,
Mhm.
to your point, you're not thinking about it anymore when you're performing it. It's just
Yeah.
happening. I know, I'm same as myself. Like this interview where I know enough about you, I don't need a bunch of notes off to the side to have the conversation. Whereas the first time we talked, I probably had a notepad beside me. It was probably 20 talking points on it, just in case I didn't know what to say, right?
I wish you could find it. I want
I
to look for
know
those
that
talking points.
every once in a while I do a purge of stuff like that, but I know that there's a few scraps laying around. There's even a file folder with some of the older notes and stuff too. So I'll have to see what's in there at some point. It would be good,
Mhm.
be good content, wouldn't it? I guess I could
Yeah,
take pictures of it and put it online or something.
exactly. Good content.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that we're at that point, but I'm having a fun time doing it, so I'll keep doing it. And there's
Hmm.
lots of like-minded people out there that are trying to make a living with it too. So I super appreciate everyone playing along with me too. So where do we send people that want to keep up with everything you have going on? And I don't know, I would normally send people like to your website, but you have multiple activities that it wouldn't necessarily fall under Kylie Fox. Do you have one central location to send people?
Oh, Instagram is my favorite. I use
Okay.
Instagram the most every day. Um, I find TikTok is like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'll start on Monday. I know it's important. I know that I need to do it. I know that it's, gonna keep my career healthy if I don't know, get lucky with the video. But maybe next Monday. I recommend actually my newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to my website, it's the first thing you'll see is to join my newsletter. It's it's just silly. It's called What Does the Fox Say? And I put it out once a month. And it's like a short diary entry of what I did that month. And sometimes it has nothing to do with music. But I always say what I've been listening to. It always lists my tour dates. Um, but that's definitely where I would include anything I was doing, whether it be Dolly Parton or, touring Sequoia. Definitely new music videos.
Mm-hmm.
But at the top is just a list of like Survivor starts this month.
I love it. It
um,
creates a personal connection with your audience as well.
Well, what's been cool is that it's something that truly goes into the ether. You can't track people like it. I can see how many people reading it, and that's been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who's reading it. I haven't really gone through the list of emails. I suppose I could, but every now and then someone will admit to me that, oh, I know you did that. I've been reading, and I'm just like floored by it.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of my friends is like, oh, I read that you did this, and you read it? Because I really feels like no one. I'm just doing it for myself. Maybe that's why I really enjoy it. But yeah,
Th-
join my
that's
newsletter.
that's the best way to do that too. It's the same as you said, you're getting your performance nailed to the point that you're not thinking about it while you're out there performing. So like you know that you're in that right vibe for it. It's the same for producing something like that. If you're able to churn that out on a regular basis and you're not even sure who's on the other end, then obviously it's something that you like. Or you have some kind of other issue that we need to talk about off camera. One of the two anyway.
Mhm.
So around Christmas, if people want to see that Kenny and Dolly stuff, where do they find tickets for that?
So we're doing it at the Fredericton Playhouse. So it'll be
Okay.
on the Playhouse website. We're doing it in Miramichi and Florenceville. And then we're doing it at the Imperial Theater. So you can buy them through the Imperial in St. John as well.
Okay, because I know quite a few people that would be interested. I know that the Carlton has had something similar here. I'm thinking different players in theirs, and yeah, I know we have a little bit of an audience over there in New Brunswick now too. So I'm sure a few people watching this will be thinking ahead, and might be some good gift ideas for people too. To
Yeah, you know
little
what else would be a great gift idea? A copy of Sequoia on vinyl or CD,
well,
which are also available on my website or Bandcamp.
I was going to ask you about the vinyl before we signed off there too. I saw the other day you did a video, kind of like a little unboxing, showing where you're
A
taking it
vinyl
out and
tour.
everything. So those are available online, but also on these upcoming tour dates that you're talking about,
Yeah.
they will be available at a merch table somewhere on site at any of those venues.
Yeah, that's the best place to buy them
How much
because
cash
it
do
means
they
that you're at
need?
the show. $30.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's I've noticed that the average price has actually dipped a little, so $30 is a great deal. I do like that. So
Thanks.
it's affordable and it's a nice little keepsake, and they sound great. So how can you go wrong? There's
Yeah.
3 reasons. That's $10 a reason. Perfect price.
Oh, great. Nice, Darcy.
So I will be keeping an eye out for that as well. Hopefully, I catch you live again before too long myself. And I have a little growing vinyl collection over there of the artists that have been on the show. So I think there's enough room to fit at least one more over there. So
Yes.
we'll definitely have to talk again after this call.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Uh,
thanks for having me back, Darcy.
yes, well, thanks for being back, and keep us up to date with what you have going on as we get into the winter months as well. And I assume at some point you'll have a follow-up single, so there will be another music video or something creative to go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to reach out again. We could have you back for another update.
Sounds awesome. Thank you so much.
Right, thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye.
A sequoia burns in California. They've been up all night taming the flames. Leaves rise up with the smoke. It's on the radio that it might not be saved. There are only so many great trees. There are only so many great rains we can depend on. How dare we rush in at the last minute? We take you for granted. September leaves crunch billowers. Katya's hosting dinner, and we walk hunched in the rain. Open mic, Pete plays all the favorites. We pass round the cajon, but the rhythm's all the same. There are only so many great nights. There are only so many great friends I can depend on. How dare I consider great cities? I take you for granted, old town. friends in California, they've been up all night taming the flame.